Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is an extraordinary 1974 manufactured Patek Philippe golden ellipse. You're looking at reference 3589/1 in yellow gold. What's fascinating is that all of the documentation with this watch indicates that it was made in the early 70s, retailed in the early 1980s. They were different times when a Patek Philippe watch could sit in a dealer's case for the better part of a decade without moving. Today, it's hard to even find them, and a vintage piece like this, harder still. It's an easy watch to wear in yellow gold, as it measures about 33.5 across, not including the crown. It's 7 millimeters thick, and then it is a lugless watch with an integrated bracelet, so lug-to-lug, basically bezel to bezel, is going to be 35.7 millimeters. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference. And as you can see, it sits incredibly flush. Incredibly. A man can wear this, a woman can wear this. It was intended as a man's watch, but because of the sizing, you're going to find that even on a smaller wrist, maybe even as small as 13.5 centimeters, certainly 14, this is going to wear just fine. Now, the bracelet is not infinitely flexible. You can see that it does have, this is as far in as you could pull it. It does have some curvature baked into its structure. You can't just pull it straight down, for example, out of the lugs like that. Taking a look at the bracelet, it is beautiful. It's in very, very good survivor condition. Now, if you take a look, you could see that the weave is well preserved. Not perfect, but very, very good. Trying to show as much as I can, because I know our studio photos on the website don't always go in depth into facets of the watch like this that I know mean a lot to collectors. It's important with a bracelet like this that it not be bent or kinked or badly repaired, and believe me when I say I hear you on that matter. Here's the bottom, the opposite side bottom. Now the clasp. This is an old style mechanism where you can see there is the Patek Calatrava cross as well as graving on the top. This engraving designed to echo the cross hatch of the bracelet itself. Now inside we find the mechanism that is used for sizing, and I'll demonstrate how this works. You've got several different increments, and then you have a little retention bar that locks the opposite side of the bracelet into one of these individual slots. Now, obviously, this gives a limited range of adjustment, but within each slot, there is a little bit of play, so you don't have to have a perfect match. Now, if it does not match perfectly, there are still options that can be undertaken via a goldsmith to make this fit your wrist. That's more involved, but again, it's not beyond the scope of possibility. Taking a quick look now, you can see that on the back we have Patek Philippe as well as a maker's mark. That maker's mark is a bit of a mystery to me, but I've reached out to John Reardon, and if John's able to identify that, I'll put it in the comments below this video for full disclosure. What do we think? Maybe Atelier Réuni after they started making bracelets? Okay. Taking a look at the case, you can see that we've got a Calatrava cross on the crown and almost a disco volante-like shape, but distinctly oval because it's a golden ellipse. The dial is gold, and you can see it features the sigma marks or the a priori marks indicating the presence of gold on the dial, and Patek describes this gold dial on the documentation with the watch as velvet gold. You can see we have stylized Roman numerals, including a watchmaker's 4, and in good taste, Patek dispenses with any mention of the movement's automatic status, though it is. If this were a modern watch, I'm sure it would be blazoned all over the dial. Instead, you're expected to know that for which you've paid. And underneath this snap-on case back, we have the movement, and it's an interesting one. It is the Patek Philippe 28255, which is Patek Philippe's version of the JLC 920 Bausch that was developed for the Holy Trinity by JLC and only ever used by Patek, Audemars, and Vacheron. Vacheron called it the 1120. And Audemars Piguet called it the 2120, and for years it was the movement that powered the Royal Oak Jumbo. It was also the movement that powered the original Nautilus Jumbo 3700. So it is an ultra-thin, 2.4 millimeter thick, bidirectional rotor, but it only winds in one direction. So it has the ability to pivot in either direction on 4 ruby bearings, but it only turns the barrel in one direction. And that's actually a little bit more efficient as a winding system, but it's also going to allow for a thinner watch, less mechanism. There are 4 ruby bearings built into the base plate of this movement. And then there's a ring that goes all the way around. It's a beryllium ring, and the mass sits on one side of the ring. And then because those ruby bearings hold the mass and the ring, just above the plane of the bridges and the base plate below, they can be sunken down till they're almost touching with no danger of contact if the watch is shocked or concussed. That's why it has the 4-point jeweled roller bearing system. 19,800 vibration per hour beat rate, 40-hour power reserve, 36 joules, Gyromax style free sprung balance, 5-position adjustment. And the Patek Philippe version of this modified JLC Abauche is extravagantly decorated to Geneva Seal standards. Once upon a time, there might have been some water resistance. Today, I would encourage you to think of this watch as having absolutely none. And that is just the case with vintage watches, especially vintage dress watches. One more interesting note about this watch is that it features Guild Stamp 115 on the inside of the case back. The inside of the case back confirms that it is a 3589/1, but also that it is a Fauve Perret case, because Guild Stamp 115, the iron with the number in it, is Fauve Perret. And you can see they built something beautiful, thin, elegant, with a differential decoration on it, both satin and polish, several different focal planes on the top side, totally flat sapphire, and it is a sapphire by this point on a watch of this stature. There's just a lot to love. Movement serial number 1,284,000, so again, confirming that this is early 1970s, but we have the original documentation pretty much describing the watch's entire lifespan from its manufacture to its eventual retail and the years since. So reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details of this yellow gold automatic integrated mesh bracelet golden ellipse.